महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ॐ श्री महासरस्वत्यै नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ॐ श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। Hari Om and Namaskar to one and all. The topic is sure mantras to success. We've been SNSing all the time. Now I want you all to do a different type of SNSing. For any organization, society, a nation, or an individual to attain success in any field, three things are important, necessary. Number one, and that is called yantra. I'm going to be talking about sure mantras of success from the Bhagavad Gita, okay? And many times, when I start like that, they say, "Ye sab kahan likha hai Gita mein?" It's very much from the Gita, I'm not making it up myself. I'll authenticate it by quoting the shloka afterwards. The very first thing that's required is yantra. And we take a wider meaning of the word yantra. It means resources, material, the right people, instruments, machines. All of that is included in what? Yantra. The word yantra, it means what? A machine, right? Yantra. And the important thing is not just you need material, you need the right material. Now, for example, you have this beautiful auditorium. What happens? The lights go off. What happens? So all this is necessary. For anything that you do in your life, you need the right material. Do you agree with me? By the way, I have this very bad habit of asking questions. And this thought of asking questions started when I was in college. I'm sure this is a very different type of an institution, but you must have come in other institutions, you've gone to colleges before, and you know how it is. There are some teachers who talk, and you can sleep through the talk for all they care, right? I'm sure all of you have experienced that. Extremely sometimes boring and very taxing, and they just go on. I've had teachers like that when I was in college, and that's the time I decided I will not let anyone sleep in my talk, okay? I never knew I would be a speaker, but then I decided that I will not allow anyone to sleep. So, and unfortunately I can't see your faces, so I don't know what's going to happen at the back. But I just assume. Can you all say yes or no in time? Fine, no. Okay, fine, fantastic. I think most of you are not sleeping, but some have started. I didn't hear the yes from everyone. So now, and just because your eyes are open is no guarantee that you're not sleeping, because some people sleep with their eyes open. So therefore you have to say something, just show some expression. Even if you don't believe what I say, then whatever, but just do something, another thing that happened. I was extremely mischievous in college. I don't think most of it is gone. Some of it is still lingering. So, when I was in school, we had our way of making our teacher nervous, and it worked all the time. I'm not inspiring you to do that, but it worked. And that was, when the teacher is talking, have no expressions on your face. Did you understand? Did you not understand? And we did it, and the best of teachers have got nervous. It's a proven technique. So please don't try that on me, okay? Please show some expressions, whatever. Okay, now, the first thing that is required is what? Yantra. And very, very important to have the right yantra. The right type of machines or whatever. Now, you have like Delhi, all through the winters, what happens? The airport, because of fog, the flights. With the present advance of technology, don't you think they can solve it? When I ask someone, how come they don't solve this simple, ordinary thing? There is fog all over the world. It's not only in India. And there are so many places with worse fog than what we have over here. How is it? They said, machine chalti nahi hai. Well, like machine thi, and the type of answers that I got from people who were there, and this is quite a few years back, I'm talking, maybe aajkal chalti hai here. So, the right type of instructions. And another extremely important thing is you have to have training in the use of those machines in this. Because you may have very, very fancy machines, but you don't know how to. I know places, where when I've been to some East African countries, and they got the best of, because, World Bank gives lots of things, and they get donations from X, Y, Z, and, and fancy, trucks and all. And they said, Swamiji, they are just lying there. Saying, why? Because no one knows how to repair them. They've got spot, and they just like. So you understand how important it is, not just to get the fancy. Nowadays, in a lot of classrooms and schools, they have what is called smart boards. Have you heard of that? But the teachers are not smart enough to use them. And they literally use the smart boards like a blackboard. I have seen them, ऐसे जैसे blackboard में लिखते हैं ना, वैसे ही वो smart board. Now, what is the use of having all those smart boards when we are not? A typical thing is our smartphones. By the way, everyone please do a small little exercise. Can you all take out your phones? Of course, it's fancy of seeing a lot of phones these days, new models especially. Everyone please, even if it's an old model, I like to see them. Can you switch it off, please? I see some of them on. And wait, don't show it to the person next to you that you switched it off. Come on. Because it's happening all the time, everywhere we go. Please do that. Because I've had so many audiences with some, especially elders are there, and they know how to use the phone, but they don't know how to switch it. Yes. It's happened very often in my audiences. That's why I'm not taking it for granted. So please do that. So, even if you see I especially, I've got a laptop and all of those things, but I don't know how to use 75% of those applications in the software that are already, I don't. I'm not smart enough. I use it minimal. Most of us have this sort of a thing. Is it true or not? We have so many facilities which we just don't know how to use. We have to get trained in them. We have to understand how to use it. And a very, very common thing that does happen is the misuse of the yantras. Is it true? You can use it for your benefit, but you can use it too. And there are enough research done in so many countries all over the world. We have our own experiences here that there's a lot of misuse of what? The mobiles, the in the beginning. Once you get hooked on to them, and then comes out the research. The latest of neurology, this conference, someone who was a neurologist who attended that conference told me that they have predicted that in future the highest number of cancers are going to be brain cancers. They beat all other cancers, and that is primarily going to be because of the use of mobiles. Now just imagine that. And yet, now we are hooked. There's no question of any one of us, what? And some people sleep with it, like, saath mein, mera saathi. And it's on. And every little time there's this message tone coming, ting ting, tong tong, ting tong ting. And whole night goes what? Is it true or not? Why don't you switch it off? Swamiji, कोई important phone आएगा तो. And so many, I can go on and on. I don't want to. Just one more little thing. There was this girl. I was in Nairobi, and this psychologist said that this is the type of cases she gets very often, teenagers. This 14-year-old came to her, and the mother said she's completely gone. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's behaving so normal teenage problems. And no, she's saying this is something completely different. Please check out what's there. So this is, in the conversation said, okay, when do you sleep? Around 3 in the night. Okay. So what do you do till that time? Oh, we chat. So what do you do? So it's on the mobile for 6 hours continuously. Those waves are going to her, and her brain is getting really scattered. First thing the psychologist told the mother is, take the mobile away from her. Just take it away. You want her back? Take it away. She says that's going to be impossible, because imagine a teenager. She's going to think the mother is enemy number 1 if she does something like that. She says, you want your daughter, you want to be considered an enemy. Just tell me. She was so this about it. She said, okay, fine. I'm the enemy. I'm not allowing you to have a mobile. In a matter of 2 weeks' time, that girl was completely normal. They just didn't allow her to talk on the mobile, saying, ouch. Are you with me, everyone? Yes. Just imagine. So machines are very important. Machines are needed. Machines without which you can't live. But we cannot be ruled by machines. The machine is meant for me, not I am meant for the machine. It's for my benefit, not to my detrimental. That's what's happening right now. We're so hooked on the Facebook, and I tell you, the chatting in the Facebook and all goes on, and everyone, small little things which are so immaterial. You sneeze and it's on the Facebook. Is it true or not? Why should everyone want to know all? And no one meets actually face to face. Is it true or not? Yes. You think 15 years back the number of people you used to actually physically meet and the number of people you meet now is actually reduced rather than. So the machines have advanced, but actually communication has deteriorated. Is it a fact or not? Yes. Such is. So what happens is, it's very important. The right machines are very important. They make our life more beautiful. They make things happen easily. But we should not become what? Slaves of those machines. The first thing. So yantra, the right yantra, not just yantra, the right. And get training and absolutely know how to use those. The second important thing for success, and that is called tantra. What is it? Tantra. What do you mean by tantra? In the wider sense of the word, tantra means procedure, methodology, system, law, way of working, all of that. All this comes into what? Tantra. from all over. But we have no what? I tell you, I was traveling from Dehradun to Delhi by Shatabdi. Someone in the train put their child to sleep on the mobile and the whole compartment had to listen to that. 45 minutes, वो सोता ही नहीं था. वो इंडिया में, वो दिल्ली में था. चलो बेटा सो जाओ on the क्या खाया, कितना खाया, चलो सब्जी खाओ, चलो सो जाओ. 45 minutes. Is this the way you use an instrument? Yeah, why I make it? You understand why I do it? Everyone thinks, this crazy, what the hell, what does she think she's doing and all that. But I do it for this reason. I do it for this reason. So don't take for granted that your mobile is off. Please, all of you. You have to switch it off, my dear Amma. It just won't work if it just you switch off this. Someone next door just said that. Yeah. Okay, fine, no problem. Do I have your attention again, please? Yes. As it's difficult to get everyone's attention, and this mobile goes. So, see, in our country, one of the things that has happened is we have not grown with the technology, we have got the technology from outside. And therefore, the etiquette that goes with the technology is not what we have learned. We've just not learned that. We've just got those things from there. But the etiquettes that go with any machine, for that matter, we have not learned. We need to do all of that, Someone was telling me, that she was working in an office in London, and every 1 hour, there's a rule in their office that someone takes a duty, or I don't know, they've hired someone, I'm not sure, go with a tray of water, and every person's desk, they would go and make them drink that water. They said if you sit in front of a computer for more than an hour, there's something in you which saps off, and therefore you need to replenish it by having a glass of water. Now imagine that. Now, who tells us these things? They say computer use karo, but koi aisa nahi ki pani bhi piyo saath saath. Have you understood? This should be part of the. I mean, you can't tell. It's like medicine होती है तो caution भी तो करते हैं कि नहीं? कि भाई caution तो machine के साथ में there should be. Then the important thing is the systems, the procedures. And in our country, we take a pervert pleasure in breaking systems. Is it true or not? If we are told you have to go this way, then we feel so great if we go the other way. And we feel हमको लगता है कि हम बड़े होशियार हैं. We are very smart when we manage to. Is it true or not? सबको कहा गया कि यहाँ पार्किंग करो, लेकिन मैं क्या करूँगा? मैं इधर करूँगा. Why? I love to be an exception to every rule that is made, right? Yes. And that's why no rules work, because everyone wants to be an exception to every rule. Is it true or not? Yes. And the breaking of the rules starts from where? Isn't it true? I'll break the rule first. Who are you to tell me what I can do? I remember a friend of mine who was a police commissioner's daughter in Singapore. And she says, I break a rule, I'll be in jail. They're not going to see that she's a police commissioner's daughter. हमारे तो police commissioner का daughter याने बोलो. She says, if I was literally I do anything wrong, I'll be in the jail. No one's going to talk. I'll have to face all the consequences of the action that I do. Chinmaya Mission has this motto to give maximum happiness to the maximum number of people for the maximum period of time is our dharma. And literally our country's motto seems to be to give maximum trouble. feels embarrassed enough, so just look at me, don't look at me. Okay. So, to give what? Maximum grass to the maximum people in the minimum period of time is our time. You go to an office and if they can get it done easily and with no problem, they'll say, "Nahi, kal aana." But why kal aana? You've got the thing and just give it to me. No. ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. But ऐसे नहीं होता तो what is it? नहीं, kal aana. And you see the smaller the person, the bigger the. Have you noticed that? He definitely won't want to help you. In the good old days when you had to go and get the ticket, and stand in the queue and buy your tickets off the counter. You know how the small person with a little power and he feels so great, किसी बड़े लोग को कहना कल आना, अभी नहीं करेंगे, पर अभी 5 मिनट बाकी है लंच के लिए तो दे दो ना, नहीं, हमने बोला ना कल आओ. Is it true or not? Systems don't work because no one wants to follow the system. And it's so important. We became swatantra. What? Swatantra. Now we have actually become swatantra. My rule is rule. स्वयं का तंत्र ही तंत्र है. And स्वयं का भी तो तंत्र नहीं होता है. So it's so important to have what? And we need to update the system from time to time. I remember when I was in the architecture college, which was in the 77 and that time, we had to study the design of barns, English barns, and there is no barn in India, okay? And they said, no, you have to study this. Why? Because it was British time curriculum, and they hadn't changed. Don't you think we need to change the systems, the rules, everything? They become outdated, they become obsolete. And I tell you, this is a really hilarious thing, but it's true. I went to Amritsar, and the person whose place I was staying, their daughter wanted to go to Canada. The daughter had another small little daughter who was about 9 months old. So you have to get a passport and all of that. So they said that you have to, and when you get a passport, you have to get police. There's a police inquiry, and they come and they see if you're fine, no criminal record or whatever. They said for this little baby, you need to get a character certificate. 9-month-old baby, character. She said, I have to do it. So she went to a notary and they made a letter saying, I know this child from her birth and she bears a good character. Rule is rule. But no. Many times people use these rules to not do what they want to do. They can do. Is it true or not? They go behind the rule and say, nahi kar sakte hain. It's not possible to do it. Many times when they want to do something, they break every rule and do it. Is it true or not? And when they don't want to do it, they use what? The rules say, ye nahi ho sakta hai. Sometimes the rules are so complicated that you don't understand. वो टैक्स का फॉर्म भरना होता है, अरे राम, all of you know. I don't know, सीधा बनाओ, सरल बनाओ, नहीं. To give maximum graph. सीधे करेगा, you hire an expert to get. Sometimes, the rules have no what? Sometimes logic to them, sometimes they have not been updated, sometimes we are not trained in what? Do you understand? See, any time there's a system, for example, how this institution works, any institution has its own rules, sometimes there are written rules and sometimes there are unwritten rules. So the person who comes new, don't you think we should make them familiar with the rules? The unwritten rules and the written rules. बोलते हैं कभी-कभी, देखो उसका ध्यान रखना, ये खतरनाक है. Don't उसके अगर उससे काम कराना है ना तो उससे बोल देना, तो काम हो जाएगा. This is called what? Unwritten rule. But these are all. So this is the thing. If I know the system and Now this is a talk. I am the Vakta, what? The speaker, and you are the Shrota. So what's the system? I should be talking. And when I talk, isn't it true? Now if you don't follow the system, what happens? Chaos. So any given place, there is a system. And if that system is followed, you attain the goal that you want to attain. Success is possible, progress is possible, all this is possible. I always remember this thing. See, there are rules in our country, plenty of rules, but there are no law upholders to see that they are followed. Is it true or not? Every city that I go, and I want to put on my seat belt, they say, Swamiji, idhar chalta hai. What is the meaning? Idhar chalta hai. Then you go, Swamiji, idhar nahi chalta hai, kar lo. Meaning what? No, not that. That there is someone who is, looking into it. That is, the rule is there in the whole land. Is it true or not? That you have to put your seat belt is a rule in our whole country. But in some places, it is never followed. And then if you put also, say, Swamiji, kyun lagate ho? Idhar chalta hai. You don't, no, please. But this is to save myself. It is not for. I have heard of a classic case, you can say it's all good entrepreneurship or whatever, I don't know, but amazing. There is this place, it was I think in Goa, yeah. So the helmet at that point of time was not compulsory, or they just brought it along. From time to time when they want to make money, they make it compulsory. Then they get their money, then it stops again or something like that, all sorts of systems. So anyway, here this person was selling helmets, not selling, hiring helmets. So they know that the police are in what? Front somewhere. So they come over there and say, police aa gaye hain, helmet le lo. So they hire a helmet if you please. 150 rupiya dena hai, kya? Helmet hire karo, and down the road, after passing the police check post, there's another guy of his waiting there to collect the helmet back again. He made good money. See, this is called entrepreneurship, okay? He's got, he knows exactly कि इधर पैसे बना सकते हैं और उसने बनाया. But this is how systems. Traffic is a classic example in our country. Half the traffic would happen if people would just follow. But we take so much of pride in. मुझे पता है कि people, this is like your boundary of your property. Now, this is the line, right? There'll always be. So where will you make your boundary wall? Like that. So you get what? How many inches more? And this thing. Why would you want to do it? This is your boundary, you stick. Nah. I'm so smart, right? So what we need to do is what? Have the right government systems must be there. And one of the things which we as a country are really poor is in documentation of our systems. Is it true or not? Very, very. The institutions, and then what happens? All the best practices get, and everyone comes in and thinks, हमारे time में हमने किया, अरे भाई यही चीज बहुत लोगों ने पहले कर चुके हैं. And everyone thinks, I discover, and we do it like that, and this, Are Brahma, बहुत पुरानी चीजें हैं. Are you with me? Think about all this. So, what do we need? Right? Yantra, then the right? And to be trained in following the Tantra right from childhood. All of a sudden at the age of 25 and 30, this will not come into our system. It has to become right from the childhood. Then we go to the next thing, and that's the very, very important, much more important than both of this, is the right mantra. What do we need? What is mantra? Mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, all of these are also mantras, extremely inspiring. Very, very powerful, undoubtedly. But however, we take the wider meaning of this and we say inspiring words, mottos, vision statements, something that, in a brief way gives you a reason to elevate yourself. These are all mantras, sutras, जिसको कहते हैं, मंत्र कहते हैं, different ways. Don't you know that every company has its vision statement, right? I'm sure Soil has its own vision statement. Motto, vision statement, aims, something which is inspiring. One person, he went for an interview. And these people were sitting over there to interview him. He came into the office and sat down, and he hadn't done his homework very well. It was my guy. So they asked him, what is the motto, vision statement of this company? He didn't know. So he said, push. Push कहाँ से मिला आपको? So where did you think it? If it's a vision statement, it will be seen everywhere, right? At your door. What was written? Outside your door. So I assume that was the mantra of your. Because you would put it prominently everywhere, right? So I thought that was the mantra. Push. But I tell you, in life, many times you have to get things only by. Is it true or not? पीछे पढ़ना पड़ता है. तब कुछ काम, right? So push is a good mantra. So what we need is inspiring statements. We need to have something which makes us strive for something. Now, as far as mantras are concerned, there can be 3 types of mantras. Not all mantras are inspiring, believe me. There are 3 types of mantras that can be there. Number 1, and that is called instigating mantras. What? There are enough instigating mantras. It prompts. What is an instigating mantra? It prompts. It really the base aspect of our personality is being prompted through those set of mantras. Kill, in a very, very negative way. So something which is base, something which is not so great in us comes out. Greed comes out of us, and jealousies and hatred and revenge and all those type of feelings which are not that great, they get inspired by such mantras. And there are enough people in the world giving enough of these mantras, and we see the chaos that happens because of that. Is it true or not? People are, suicide bombers don't think they have a lesson. This in them. Can you imagine giving your life up? So it's not that they can't, there's nothing which is pushing them into it. They are. That's a very, very, can you imagine that type of a strong push that is given to them? With that they go and blow themselves up. So therefore, there can be what type of mantras? Instigating mantras. Manthara did that. When CHYK was a happy lady, she loved her husband, she loved her children, she loved Rama so much. And what did she go and say? Mantra of Ramayana fame, okay? I don't think there's been another mantra ever. I don't think no one, anyone's named their children Manthara? I doubt. So what happened? This Manthara went to CHYK and said, what? You know what I heard? I heard that Rama is going to be crowned prince. Crowned prince, she's going to. So she was so happy. She says, my Rama. Oh, what a wonderful thing. Turant mala leke, nikal ke de di. In the good old days, they did that. Good news, immediately the kings would give her. So she did that. Now she said, this is not working. So she says, now let me try the next mantra. So she said that, when Rama becomes the king, Kaushalya will become the queen mother and you will be nothing. Now the jealousy is being what? Bas. Usne kaha, kya? And you know the story. So, this is called what? Your green is mean. Advertisements are like that sometimes. Neighbors, envy, owners, pride. In the good old days, I have not been watching TV for a long time, but in good old days, this was the thing. Neighbors, envy. So what is being instigated? So then the second type of mantras are called motivating mantras. See, instigating mantras, they pull you down. They pull you down. It's a force which is downward. Now what is a motivating mantra? A motivating mantra is one that pushes you forward. Don't worry, I am with you. Everything will be fine. Go ahead. आपको positive thinking करवाते हैं कि नहीं? Don't think negatively, think positively. क्या होगा at the most? Don't worry, etc. And there are so many, Anil ji is very good with that. Oh, he can really motivate people into a lot of things. There are many people who can do that. They're very inspiring. They just motivate. The person goes ahead. उससे क्या होता है? The good in you wanted to do better. You understand? In the instigating mantra, the bad in you is prompted to do its worst. Have you understood it? Whereas in the motivating mantra, what happens? The good in you is prompted to do better. You can go ahead, progress, walk faster, go ahead. All those type of, there are so many mantras like that. And I tell you, interestingly, gurus now, management gurus, they are called in big companies. Motivate our workers. That's a very common thing. They don't have enough motivation. So, वो जाते हैं, and then they do their job. And then what happens? For 3 months, everyone is in what? High, top gear and sub. And उसके बाद में क्या? Then they call them again. चलो और धक्का लगा. देखिए, if your car, especially in this cold season, if your car is not working, ठंडा हो जाता है. So किसी को धक्का लगाना पड़ता है. Now you push the car, you start the car, but supposing it just doesn't start, you're not going to be able to take your car all the way from Gurgaon to Delhi pushing it. Is it true or not? Yes. Same thing, the motivation, after some time it has to have a what? Self-start. End of the day, the motivation must come from where? Within. For a little time, okay, dhakka lagao. But after that, and what happens nowadays, especially kids go, oh my God, parents, padho, dhakka lagao, padho, from KG class to 12th standard, dhakka lagao. Is it true or not? Many parents don't come for our lectures and all saying, Swami ji, मेरे बेटे की एग्जाम है. तो बेटे की एग्जाम तो आपको क्या है? नहीं स्वामी जी पढ़ाना पड़ता है. Otherwise, if not पढ़ाना पड़ता है, स्वामी जी बैठना पड़ता है. जब हम बैठते हैं तभी वो पढ़ता है. And one scene I actually saw, it is an amazing scene. This little girl, 10th standard girl, all stunted because never played in her life. So she sits there, and the father on one side, the mother on one side. And the father starts reading, the girl is listening. And the father feels sleepy after all. End of the day, he's worked. So the mother starts reading. And 10th standard ka padhna is not very interesting matter for the father or the mother, for that matter. So they start. Then this one stops, then this one. And wo bichari beech mein hai. ये बात होती है कि नहीं होती? I'm not just making it up, right? Push. And then what happens? I've seen so many cases. In fact, in the present day, it's happening just a bit too much. The minute they go to college, that push is off. You can't tell a college kid, studies. So what do they do? They stop studying altogether. Is it true or not? For how long can you? What? Self-start hota hi nahi. So, what type of mantras? Motivating mantras. And the third type of mantras are called inspiring mantras. What is an inspiring mantra? An inspiring mantra doesn't just push you forward, doesn't just make you do better, the good in you make you do better, it makes you do great things. It elevates you, it lifts you upwards. That pushes you forward, but this lifts you what? It makes you outshine your abilities. You're not just progressing linearly, you are what? Progressing exponentially. You just blossom, you transform, something great comes up. Now look at Mahatma Gandhi. Till he was a lawyer in Africa, he was good, but he was not great, he was not a Mahatma. Isn't it true? He got a mantra, what? Freedom for India. And what happened? He became a Mahatma. Is it true? Anyone you see in their lives, of all great people, they've always had something which has been what? We have a saved Ganga Amma. She went to Gangaji like all of us, dipped into Gangaji like all of us, saw the dirt like all of us. But what happened to her? She says, I will not allow Ganga to what? And she took it up as a lesson in life, and so many things she did. She tried to make new rules and went to the government, the top office, and you know how the government works, and still she managed to get some laws passed saying this is not allowed, that should not be done. Why? She's got something which is inspiring, save Ganga. You understand? And I tell you, it all depends on your mantra. How strong, intense your mantra is. If your mantra is, that's okay. But if you have that intense, that will make you do something. It's a very interesting story. There was this robber. He had robbed something. He was running. A puny, small, little fellow. And there was a police officer. Not a unfit one, but quite a fit, very this and that. And he's running behind the robber. And the robber got away. So they asked the police officer, how is that? You're so fit, you're so this. How come he got away? He says, look, he ran to save his life and I only ran as a job. Have you understood that? You see, he had more at stake. So he knew he dared not get caught. It wasn't a big thing for the policeman, but for him it was a matter of life, and therefore he managed to get away. You get my point? It depends on how deeply you get motivated or inspired by that mantra. That will make it happen for you in your life. But if it's just achhi baat hai solely, and exactly what happens to most of us, we get all these wonderful forwards. And do you get those forwards? What I call nice forwards. अच्छी बात है. आते हैं कि नहीं आते हैं सबको? अच्छी बात है. So what do you do with that forward? You see, immediately forward to the next person on your list, right or wrong. It never goes inside at all. होता है कि नहीं होता है? And you get from, because you are so open, so you get it from all sources. So 25 people send you 25 good things. Because suppose you believe, you are a believer in good things. So what good things come to you? So what do? You just reflect those good things without taking anything. Reflect. No point. So even if there is one mantra, and if it deeply touches us and brings that transformation, it can do wonders in our life. And that is sometimes even more important. The best of people with the best of yantras and the best of tantras have failed because they have not had a right mantra in their life. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
In fact, it happens a lot. Yantra and tantra are not enough. I'll give another example. I know of this family very closely in Ahmedabad. And when I went to their place, फर्स्ट फ्लोर एसी रूम में उसके टीचर ने क्या ट्यूशन टीचर पढ़ा रहे हैं फर्स्ट फ्लोर में एसी. So if we talk here, what's going to happen? It's an AC room. Why? Okay, Swamiji, he gets very easily distracted. Okay, fine. So we were whispering also. Okay, now once this exam is over, just tell me what happens. Okay, fine. And you know what happened? The guy failed. Now I told him, I said, no, I know this family well. This man is one of the top builders in Ahmedabad. They're very good. Clean, nice, good people. The other brother, his other brother, he's a very great scientist in US. The third brother is a surgeon in England and he's got the title of sir. Meaning he must have got to that level where he's got the title of sir. Now, 3 very successful. I said, okay, tell me, how did you? I know their background also. I asked them to talk about it. In a small little house when they were kids, they were staying in one room. Okay, 3 brothers, father and mother. All in one room. They said in the good old days, because there was no daughter or anyone, we had to do all the housework as well. Kya? Bartan? Saaf karo, ye karo, wo karo. All of that we had to do. There was no servant, nothing. So we contributed to the, and says 10 o'clock sharp, lights off. Why? You can't disturb the rest of the family. So if you wanted to study, you go out and study. Outside, bahan jo bhi light hai, wo hai, jaise hai, you study. And 3 of them got all the possible degrees and have become great successes in their life. Have you understood this? So what was inspiring? This boy had the best yantra and the best tantra. Isn't it true? Yeah. He's got a tuition teacher. He's got everyone making everything quiet for him. Everything, all the systems are at work, but he has no. Got it?
Mantra.
It happens like that. In fact, sometimes it is said that the children of the rich are, most of them are underprivileged. I have found that. They are underprivileged because they have no mantra. To what? There's a lovely book I'm reading about that called David and Goliath. It's a really nice book. So, which talks about how the so-called underdog becomes what? Successful. And that's what's seen in the elections in Delhi. The underdog came up like that. Because there's lots of reasons. What I'm trying to say is that you must have the right what? Okay, having understood that, now I come to something interesting. You know, all of us, with no exception, can make our own mantras. Because we've gone through life. And for every see, there are some mantras which are life-inspiring mantras. They inspire us all our life, who give us great goals, etc. But to deal with day-to-day events, things that are happening on a daily basis, or some challenges, we need mantras even for that. It's not just for our life, but we need small mantras to deal with what? Little things in our life. And therefore, all of us can make such mantras. It's possible that we can all what? Become mantrakrut. Mantrakrut means creators of mantras. You know, whenever the AC and this heating goes on now, people tend to become sleepy, okay? Is it getting hot here? So I always say, pura thanda rakhna. Then everyone is what? Then kya hota hai? I'll be on time, don't worry, okay? So now, I'm going to say a couple of mantras which I make. Not because what I make is great or anything like that. To make you understand that even ordinary people can make mantras, okay? Yes? And you may like those mantras, you may not like it. But it helps me in my life, okay? So that you will make your own mantras also. And there are, of course, going to talk on the Gita mantras, but first I'll tell you a couple of mantras which I made, which have helped me and really make life easy for me. Shall I? Yes. One. Don't bang your head on closed walls. Walk out through open doors. It may not seem very fancy, but believe me, I'll open it up for you. What? What? Don't bang your head on closed walls. Walk out through open doors. In any given room, how many doors are there and how many walls are there? Are there more walls or more doors? More walls. Walls are always more. Doors are one or two. So any given situation, remember, there will always be just one or two doors. Most of it will be what? But remember, the fact that you are in a room and you have come in, there is a way out. Will you all remember that? Yes. The fact that you've come in, there is a way out. So never feel that there is no way out. Correct? If you've come in, you can. कोई भी परिस्थिति हम लोग एकदम हेल्पलेस हो जाते हैं. There is no way out. No, you just haven't found that way out. There is a way out. Got it? There is always a way out. You didn't get on it, and you're thinking, you're looking at the wall, and you're saying what? That's a wall. Stop looking at the wall, find the door, and you'll find the way out. And what happened? Interestingly, we bang our heads on the wall trying to make it a door. उनको घर में बहुत ये प्रॉब्लम होता है. You know, we keep changing houses in sense. We go to different houses and stay, and then they have a whole wall which has lots of doors to their cabinets, and one of the door is the door to the bathroom, and it all looks the same. Have you seen houses like that? Hare Rama, halat kharab hoti hai. So you go open the door, this is the closet. Then you open this door, this is another. You don't know which door is the. So you keep on trying and you realize that this is the door to go out. Otherwise, okay, fine. Now, many times people say, Swamiji, if you bang hard enough, can it not become a door? Right? You must keep on at it. That's the way. Don't give up. Keep banging even if you get hurt. You can bleed, but you keep banging. Please, Jarate Apsara. Supposing you are staying in the 5th floor and you bang on a wall and you keep banging and you make a big what? Opening and you walk out. What happens? You could be what? On the bottom of the building with the what? The last time you bang anything, you bang on the footpath and that's it. You understand? Please be careful because many times people say, no, you keep on at it. But at where? The wrong place you're banging, don't bang there. In relations, people do that. Have you seen so many people? There's a relation where bang, and they are getting hurt all the time and they just don't understand. होता है कि नहीं होता है? स्वामी जी, मैंने उसको काम दिया, उसने किया ही नहीं. मैंने क्या कि तुम उसको दिया, बोले मुझे पता था वो कभी नहीं करता है. मैं कभी करता ही नहीं है. अरे पता था नहीं करता है तो why do you give it to him? Have you understood that? You're again banging and you know this person will not do any work. You've done it, you've tried it so many times. Then why did you give them? And after that you say, see, he did not do the work. He will not. He's not the type who will do your work. Now why do you give it to him? होता है कि नहीं होता है? But मेरे को लगा 100 times दूंगा तो 101th time he may do it. Then don't complain about it. Give it and say, okay, fine, he didn't do it. You get it? You like this mantra? Don't bang your head. And there is always, I tell you, Bhagwan Bhagwan is so kind. He will always give you a what? Many times we don't see the door as a door. We say as a door. But it happens many times, that sometimes you don't have enough resources. Like supposing it's happened so many times in the beginning when I was in Ahmedabad ashram and all. There was no one around to do work for us, and I had to get this whole thing decorated. Tomorrow is Janmashtami, and I want this whole place looking beautiful for the Lord. I'm standing there with all the flowers all around me. I said, okay, fine, roll up your sleeves and start. And then small little kids, they come for the first time to do darshan to the temple. He says, Swamiji, what are you doing? I said, you want to do something adventurous? Let's make malas and put them all around. And I have a total Vanar Sena helping me finish the whole job in no time at all. I have the greatest time in my life, and the kids have a great time, and my work gets done. Why? Because I realize that little kid is my door to getting my work done. Are you understanding? But if I expect some adults will come, and someone will come, and that one did not come, and see, this one promised me to come, and this did not, I'll never get anything done. Got it? So which door, which person comes to you as a door, recognize that this is the door, and what? Walk out. Don't get caught up in the standard notion of this is the way the door should be. That only it will look like that. It should have an arc and it should be like that and it should say, okay, door. Got it? And I have found Bhagwan always gives doors. And I have found, and please, again, another thing, everyone says, no one is encouraging you. No one supports you. Yeah, the day we were born was a contract signed by the world that hereby everyone shall support you in whatever you do, in whichever way you do. Have you got it? Just when no one's going to support you, why? No one said they're not obliged to support you, to encourage you. Every person in the world has become successful, not because of circumstances, but always in spite of circumstances, because they have found a door. And they did not bang their heads. They banged their heads, they got hurt, and they moved ahead and found a door and went out. Okay? You like this one? Yes. One more? And we end. This is my favorite. I love it. Be like Gangaji. Gangaji is my favorite. I love her. When Gangaji starts at Gomu, what is her size? But she knows that she has to reach where? The ocean. She has to reach the ocean. And when she starts on this long journey, she's far away from the ocean, when she starts this long journey, the first obstacle, Himalaya, the huge, big, rocky Himalaya stands in front of her and says, hey, little Ganga, where are you going? Gangaji is smart enough. What does she say? I can't do anything to this big, huge mountain. She says, Namaste astu Bhagwad. I'm not going to bang myself. You, he just bypass the thing. And that poor Himalaya is still there and Gangaji is gone too. Isn't it true? Hey, Himalaya will be there. But Himalayas can't move. Okay? Gangaji is the one who. Now look at that. Another thing. As she goes on, her size increases. And increases. And as she's going to meet the ocean, I don't know how many of you have been to Ganga Sagar, where it actually meets the ocean. The weight of Gangaji is so great. Why? Because she has to meet the infinite ocean. So as you grow in life, what happens? Udar Charitanam, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Your heart has to become what? Bigger and bigger and bigger. Because if your goal is infinity, you cannot be petty. You have to what? If your goal is small, you remain small. But if you have the infinity as your goal, And interesting, when there is a big rock, what does Gangaji do? Every day, the water goes. The water is very soft and the rock is very hard. And yet this soft water daily. And what happens? Who wins finally? The rock or the water? The rock gets chiseled and the water moves ahead. Is it true? She doesn't stop. When so many rivers come inside her, she doesn't change her name and her course. Isn't it true? Because the big, huge Yamuna, you go to Allahabad, you have a huge, and Yamuna's tat is wider than that of Gangaji at Allahabad. If the water is much more deeper, the color is different, everything is there, she merges into what? What? Gangaji. And thereafter she is called what? She is not called Yamuna, but she is called Gangaji. Gangaji did not change. It happens, we start doing something, then someone else comes and then we digress and go somewhere else. नाम बदल देते, अपना पूरा गोल बदल देते, कुछ न कुछ करने लगते हैं. होता है कि नहीं? गंगा जी did not say कि मैं अभी यमुना बदलूं. No, I am Ganga and I have to reach where? आओ, जितना पानी आना है आओ. मेरी पवित्रता बदलेगी नहीं. देखो, यमुना is considered holy but not like Ganga. Ganga, she is the one that's considered holy. Is it true or not? Because she finally reaches the. So there should be this great goal in life, and all the obstacles that come and everything. It's really immaterial as long as you reach your. It's all a growing process. It's all a adventure to meet the ocean. And in the meeting of the ocean, there will be obstacles. It doesn't matter at all. It's part of the game. Gangaji is very beautiful. Now, there are very, very beautiful mantras that Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmaya has inspired. Some of them, I'm just going to say that you probably heard it from people who maybe some other time, especially the students here, I'm sure have heard many from Anandji himself. One of my favorite ones is what? Do your best, leave the. It's such a beautiful mantra in life, and that's all you can do any day. Is it true? That's all. But if you've not done your best, you have no right to leave it. वो भी है. जैसे हम तो कहते हैं हम क्या करें? I tried. Did you try hard enough? Try किया. होता है तो होता है. You have to what? Do your best. And after doing your best, you what?
Leave the rest.
Leave the rest. Not you don't do your best and leave the rest. Many times हम लोग करते हैं. Very smart. Swami ji, Bhagwan, and leave the rest to God. That's what the meaning is. So Swami ji, भगवान की इच्छा होगी ना तो सत्संग में आएंगे. अरे वाह, भगवान की इच्छा है तो क्या? भगवान की इच्छा होती है. हम सब तो क्या करते हैं? We propose God. अरे वाह. I said, you do have the same attitude to go to a movie. भगवान की इच्छा है तो पिक्चर में जाएंगे. You say that? उसमें तो बड़ी मेहनत करते हैं. अरे वाह. और भगवान की इच्छा है. Puja Guruji also has beautiful mantras. I'm just giving you one or two just to inspire us. Such beautiful mantras. He says there are no gains without pains, and there are no pains without gain. In every pain there is a gain, and in every gain there is a gain. That's part of the package. Very beautiful. I'm not going to elaborate on that. You yourself can think. I just gave you one or two so that you all sit down today or any time you want, make your own mantras, and maybe if there are such inspiring ones, share them with me. I'll also get inspired by them.